However, there are creatures described in the Bible that do provide access to the unknown and the divine. These angels may open the gates to heaven in the end of days, but they're not the pudgy, cute babies with wings we all know. The cherub just may be the weirdest and most horrific creature ever designed. Scattered throughout the Bible, there are clues that point to a famous but horrific messenger of God, a Tetramorf, a combination of 4 creatures that make up the angel known as the cherub. The real message this angel carries has been lost through the centuries. It is a terrifying creature, not the pudgy, naked boy many artists have depicted. By examining its descriptions in detail, we can finally reveal the true meaning behind its design. The best man for the job is Ezekiel. He was the prophet who got the best look at the cherub. In a vision, Ezekiel saw a storm. A wind was coming from the north, a great cloud with flashing fire. Inside, there were figures resembling 4 living beings, and they traveled like bolts of lightning. The ancient text explains that inside the beings there was something that looked like burning coals of fire. Each creature had 4 wings and 4 faces, translated from the ancient Hebrew as lion, man, ox, and eagle. These were the cherubim. We're told that they carried the wheels to God's throne. And Ezekiel was taken on one wild ride. The cherub is one of the most holy yet most terrifying beasts in the Bible. It is ranked 2nd in the Bible's top 10 of holy angels, and it flies through many of the Bible's books, chapters, and verses.
There are a number of other references to cherubs or cherubim in the Hebrew Bible besides in the book of Ezekiel. For example, in Psalm 18, God rides a cherub. In other psalms, cherubim are surrounding the throne of God or supporting the throne of God. And of course, there are 2 cherubim on top of the Ark of the Covenant, acting almost as guardians of that ark. The most famous cherubim are probably the cherubim that God places at the entrance to the Garden of Eden in order to prevent Eve and Adam from returning after they have been exiled.
A guardian of arks and gates, was the cherub simply considered a brawny bouncer, keeping man from entering sacred places? For the ancients, it would have represented ultimate power.
The strongest animals that exist in the ancient Near Eastern repertoire are the lion and the bull. Both represent raw power at its ultimate. In addition to that, you also have the eagle, the most powerful of the birds that are in the sky. Needless to say, if you combine all 3 of them, the bull, the lion, and the eagle, you have the ultimate power. You have the strongest thing that you can imagine. In modern day terms, it's combining a nuclear submarine, an Abrams tank, and an F-16, all packed into one package.
So, the cherub is a complete power package, a combination of man and 3 animal kings. The lion is considered king of the beasts, its mane a royal crown. Weighing up to 500 pounds, these powerful cats are at the top of the food chain, and there have been many instances of man falling prey to this animal king. The ox is nothing less than the king of domestic beasts, the bearer of great burdens, giving itself willingly to sacrifice. And the eagle, well, the eagle in the cherub actually isn't an eagle. The original Hebrew points to a different bird. For centuries now, a mistranslation has plucked great symbolic power from the head of the cherub.
In the Bible, the king of birds is the Nesher. Nesher is usually translated as eagle, but if we look at the various descriptions of the Nesher given throughout Scripture, we see that it can't be the eagle. First of all, the Nesher is described as being bald. Now, eagles are not bald. Even the American bald eagle is not actually bald. It has white feathers on its head, and it was originally called the baldy-headed eagle. In Old English, baldy meant white, so it was the white-headed eagle. Eventually, that name, baldy-headed eagle, became shortened to bald eagle. But it's not bald. In addition, the Nesher is described in Scripture as feeding on carrion, and eagles usually take live prey. So which bird is bald and feeds on carrion? It's this bird behind me, the griffon vulture, largest and most magnificent bird of prey in the Middle East. This is the Nesher of Scripture. This is the bald bird that feeds on carrion. And those facts are actually connected. Being bald means that it can insert its head into the carcasses of the animals that it's eating without getting blood and guts caught up in the feathers of its head. It's also the lord of the air, the highest flying bird. In fact, the altitude record for a bird is held by a griffon vulture, one of which once collided with an airplane at an amazing 37,000 feet. They even have special lungs which enable them to breathe at that altitude. The question is, if the Nesher is actually the griffon vulture, why does everybody think it's the eagle? The answer is that these translations took place in Europe. In Europe, there aren't so many griffon vultures, but there are a lot of very large and prominent eagles. That's the bird that Rome portrayed on its banners. However, in the land of the Bible, it's not the eagle which is the king of birds, it's the griffon vulture.
The correct translation for Nesher puts powerful meaning lost for centuries back into the cherub. The griffon vulture is the highest flying bird in the world, which fits well with the cherub's soaring and divine purpose. But a vulture signifies death. In the earthly realm, the natural world, it feeds on the dead. We can say that these two extreme natures of the Nesher mirror man's potential for virtue or for sin. The two extreme natures of the vulture also fit perfectly inside the cherub's divine double function.
Cherubim always function as a kind of in-between figure. They are mediators between the divine and the human, between these two realms. One of the roots of the word cheruvim in Hebrew goes back to an Akkadian meaning of gatekeeper. You think about what a gatekeeper does. A gatekeeper prevents access through a gate, but a gatekeeper also provides access through a gate. And I think that cherubim serve in this same double way. On the one hand, they may serve as guardians to prevent entrance. On the other hand, they may serve as access points, as entry points.
In Ezekiel's vision, the cherubim do open the gates to the divine and carry Ezekiel through the night skies to God. And later references to this angel suggest that in the end of days, the cherubim will once again open the gates to paradise and let humankind back into the garden. And so, we are back where we started, in the Garden of Eden, with the serpent. Along the way, we've deciphered the secrets, solved the mysteries, and discovered that there is truth behind the beasts. But how does the serpent's story end? According to the Bible, it was banished from the garden, which is under the ever-watchful eyes of the cherubim. It's their job to make sure this beast never enters paradise again.